Hi, brothers and sisters. In my last video, I spoke about relationships and I referenced Philippians chapter 2, where Paul writes to the Philippians and encourages them to value other people more highly than themselves and to get rid of selfish ambition and vain conceit, and to also consider other people's interests more highly than their own. And then finally, he says, emulate Christ, who in the very nature God did not consider equality with God as something to take advantage of. He didn't take advantage of his privileges. And when we think about privileges right now, we are facing a time when love is tested. Love is being tested in every aspect around us. We are facing challenging times when there is a lot of tension, there's a lot of hate. People have forgotten the virtue of love or the principle of love, and people have become so loose in how they do things, and they can justify every sort of hate that they want to have because it serves them. And when Paul talks about Jesus having this sense of, I would call it this sense of privilege, because being equal with God really puts him at a place, a position that is a privileged position. But Paul says he did not consider that as something to take advantage of. He still lowered himself so that he could be able to minister to us, he could be able to relate with us, and he could be able to meet us where we were. And how many of us use privileges that we have as an advantage to rise or to get whatever we want, whether it's getting a job or whether stamping your feet on other people, just because you feel a sense of privilege over other people? And I want to talk a little bit about, Paul again writing to the Corinthians in the first letter, in chapter 13, verse 11, he says, when I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. Spoke like a child, thought like a child, reasoned like a child. And now that I'm an adult, I have put away childish things. Paul is evaluating himself and he's thinking about what adulthood means. He's thinking about what maturity means in that sense. And I know in his mind, he was remembering that as an adult, I have to represent myself as someone that has matured, someone that has outgrown childish things. What are childish things? Think about it this way. We tend to be emotional children in many ways. This is what I mean by that. How many of us have manuals we've created for other people? Manuals of expectations of how we want them to treat us and how we want them to appear before us before we can love them. We have these manuals of you have to be this, you have to be this, expectations, conditions that we have set for people in order for us to love them. Love must be unconditional. But a lot of us have so many conditions we have put to justify why we give love and why we withhold love. And when we do that, then we are creating a way to justify why we can't love people. We are creating a way to justify, because that's how children do it. Children, when they don't get what they want to justify by crying, by whining, by throwing tantrums, and by being crazy. But they do that because that is the child's way of finding safety and processing what they're experiencing. Now, when you're an adult and you still act like a child when it comes to emotional maturity, then what you're saying is, I cannot love you unless you meet my conditions. So we have these manuals we have created, we have written codes and steps and processes and workflows about how people should behave, how people should treat us. And if they don't treat us, then we throw tantrums. And you know what that means is you are hurting yourself, because people will let you down. People will let you down. And I'm speaking to myself too, because I have had times and situations where I've had this emotional childhood behaviors or manuals, and people consistently will let me down. And the closer the relationships you have with people, the more they're gonna hurt you, the more they're gonna fail you. And so when they fail you, then you find yourself in a prison, because you're feeling like you want to withhold love from them. And the more you withhold love from them, the more you're constraining yourself on how free you can be. And the more you're hindering yourself from growth, because now the conditions you have created are making you not be able to soar. They're making you not be able to fly. And so they hinder your progress, they hinder how fast you can run, they hinder your muscle and your ability to be able to fly. Love must be unconditional. And that is the first step for us to be able to soar. You have to have unconditional love. And maybe you're wondering, so if I can't have conditions, that means people can just treat me the way they want. No, you know what? There's a difference between having conditions and having boundaries. You can choose to have boundaries but not have conditions. Boundaries simply mean you're clearly saying this is the line, and you're allowing people to be who they are and to behave the way they want to behave. But you're simply saying, if you behave like this, I will not allow you within within this circle, or I will not allow you within this space. But you are still allowing people to freely behave the way they want, because that way you are living a freer life. Conditions constrain people. And what conditions do to you is they constrain you from your own growth, because you get offended. You get offended every time people don't live by your manual. And the more they continue to live by their own manual and not your manual, you continue to put on this weight of unforgiveness, and then the weight of unforgiveness makes you not be able to soar. This year, we have to soar. We have to elevate. We have to go higher. And one of the ways we're going to go higher is for us to love unconditionally, and for us to love like Jesus Christ did, to build our relationships on love and remove conditions and just allow people to be who they are and still love them in their own world. There are people that say, but if I just accept you, if I just love you, if I'm just so gracious, the Bible, we know about the life of grace, and people are like, that's too lenient. Who are you to put strict rules on other people? Let people be who they are. Just love them. Just love them and be you, and allow people to be them. And then draw those boundaries. Show love. People will see that you have love, and people will follow what they need to do. God bless you.